Welcome to the Tuesday, October 5th, 2021 meeting of the Darien Sewer Commission. We are going to have our regular meeting, and we've called it to order at 4:32 p.m. It is the remote video conference only, in accordance with the agenda posted online with the town clerk. Item 2 on the agenda is approval of last month's minutes. Now, guys, we got to do a good job here without our better editors, Susan and Peter.
It looked good to me.
Yeah, I didn't see anything, but sometimes I feel like English is a second language, so. Or at least punctuation is, sorry.
Well, gentlemen, that sounded like a first by Reese to approve the minutes and a second by Bob.
Absolutely.
And any further discussion? Hearing none. Since I can't see your faces, just say yay one at a time.
Yay.
Yay.
Yay. All right, minutes are approved. Should we go on to item number 3, gentlemen?
Sure.
What happened?
Is that a question for staff? What happened?
Yeah, I'm reading your memo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the question I had about the memo is it says, we went to this location and dye tested last year and did not see this location on a sewer. We're in the, unless I'm doing it wrong, we're in the 10th month of the year. What happened?
I don't know. When we were doing the Seagate rehab, the gentleman lives right next to the pump station. He came out and asked us, am I connected? I said, gee, we'd be happy to check it for you. We dye tested it. I guess it took a while to come out. Maybe it went into a tank first. I don't know, but we missed it somehow. It didn't pop out.
So, okay, so you were unable to confirm last year that it was connected, and that confirmation was not made until this year when a plumber said it was connected and is now disconnecting it.
Yeah, a plumber came to us and said, I'd like to pull a permit to do a disconnect. And we said, oh, we checked it. That house isn't connected to sewer. And he said, well, they have a grinder pump in the basement. Okay.
Grinder pump mean that it's connected to the sewer, or could that be pumping?
Yeah, it's connected to the sewer. Yeah.
Okay. I'm also noticing that the water use is all over the place. We have a bill at minimum for 2019, all the way up to a bill for 2020 of $1,336.
A big disparity.
Yeah.
Yeah, this year looks pretty normal. What you would expect average.
4 or 5 months.
Well, but if you're saying, didn't you just say that they're asking for a disconnect permit? So their normal is they moved out.
No, they haven't moved out yet. I'm looking at the yellow. So Penny's highlighted in yellow how she came to the charges.
Yeah.
And, for whatever reason, there was very little use in the 2018-2019 winter, which would validate the choice to use the minimum charge. And I was just adding up the water use in the 2019-2020 winter, which is 5 months times 12 months would be 204 times, what was our charge last year? 560?
No, wasn't it in the 6s?
655.
That was last year.
655. It's now 670.
the math was done correctly. So somehow they went from, looks like it was not really occupied very much in 18 and 19 until November of 19. Then they used a lot of water, and then they used less water.
I mean, I don't know. It could be a rental property because if you look at the address of the owners, it's Greenwich, and the house is in Darien.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that the numbers seemed all over the place, but I see how they were done. And it also looks like, well, we changed the meter, but then there were a bunch of zeros. It seems like the calculations were done properly. And this is consistent with the way we've handled these situations in the past. So I would look for a motion to support the sewer department's request to send a bill for the past 3 years.
I'll make
Yeah,
that motion.
All right, we got Reese making
I'll
the motion,
second it.
Bob seconding the motion. Any further discussion on the motion? Say yay in order.
Yay.
Yay.
Yay. All right, item number 4. Like 4 Pasture Lane.
They came to us, and this one we did confirm that they were connected. Unfortunately, the woman or resident, man, looks like a man. The resident didn't live there that long.
So you are developing a charge for this year and for last year based on how long they've lived there.
Yeah, even easier.
For next year.
The minimum.
That
We
would
have
be-
no idea what water usage water that they would use, but we can certainly do it whatever way you guys prefer. That's just one approach.
I mean, I have no problem with the prorating last year, but this year's I think it should be formulated after a little bit of time. The little bit I see on the water bill is all over the place. It's 0, 2, 14, and 46. So I don't see how that could be anywhere near a true representation. So I would think we'd want to wait until, say, March of 2022 to bill them. I don't
Well-
see how it's a fair thing to bill them.
I'll tell you why I think it's fair.
Okay.
Well, I guess, the zeros, did anybody live there last winter? Do we know the answer to that question?
I don't know.
No, because it doesn't matter because we're not billing for last.
Well, it does
winter.
kind of matter, right? Because
Oh,
houses
okay.
buy,
True.
yeah, houses buy and sell all the time, and we just take the water
Yes.
meter records, right?
Correct.
So, some people do well with that equation, some people don't.
It is a flaw in the system that's just inherent in how we have to do it.
Yeah, and there's
And
no better way to do it.
The data's lagging the actual use, so
Yeah.
for billing purposes.
Um,
So it's as equitable as anything else.
yeah, I'd just go with I would prefer to go with the sewer department's recommendation.
I would agree with that, Craig. I'll make a motion if you want. Bob, are you on board?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll make a motion. We go with the recommendation of the sewer.
Bob seconds it, and any further discussion? Hearing none. Reese say yay.
Yay.
Bob say yay.
We're looking for a second?
Bob was the second.
I was the second. I have no problem being the second.
I'm sorry. I heard that part. I didn't hear I second. Thank you.
Oh, I second. Sorry.
All those in favor, it's unanimous.
Aye. Yeah. And I just want to thank staff because, again, these appeals are so much easier when you're able to talk to the homeowner and explain to them even before it comes to us how it's done. It's really nice.
I would also
Thank you.
like to thank Penny for putting the memo together, because that spells it out very simply for us what the request is, so we don't have to make it up on the fly.
And he did it. You are correct.
Okay, Craig, one question, Craig, just a clarification for me, because I didn't hear it over the talk.
Sure.
So you're going to follow her recommendations in the memo?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, 128 Camp Ave. Where did we leave that last time?
Yeah, nothing in the package. Penny did reach out to the homeowner. She did tell him the price, up over $70,000. Had a few questions, but said, yeah, we're definitely interested. Wanted to know things like, do I have to pay all at once, over 20 years, what the interest rate is? We don't know what the interest rate is, obviously, but those kinds of questions in general didn't scare her away. Would have attended this meeting, but had a conflict. Maybe she'll view this later, but commission asked us to reach out to her at the last meeting.
Remind me the total number of houses that we would assess with a
8.
project like this?
8.
8.
8, and then a couple of connections. That's
Or was it 6 with a
8
couple of
potential,
connections?
8 potential connections total.
8 potential connections.
So, and that includes, I believe there was a private road, Homestead or something like that.
It's not Homestead, but yeah, there is a private road with 3 houses.
Petticoat and a future extension.
Certain people would be assessed immediately. Yeah, let me find my package from last time here to remind myself of the questions I'm about to ask. Here we go.
You're right, you're not going to collect any money until such time as there is an extension. If you went forward this way, there would be 6 homes.
So, so 6 people would start being assessed immediately.
Immediately, if it was a town project, that's correct.
And 2 people would basically, 2 potential future connections would just be out there. The sewer commission would have outlaid the money with the hope that we make the connection feedback one day.
Correct.
I mean, it's a big, so what would normally be the next step then, staff?
The normal next step would be, we would poll the neighbors. We have letters that we could draw from that we've done before. So what is the general interest in the neighborhood? And we would include the potential price. And if there was popular support, the sewer commission would normally continue down the road. If there isn't popular support, the sewer commission has the right, but has never exercised that right to force it upon people.
Yeah, I can't imagine with an assessment of this size that, which, you know, I'm reacting to the number, but the last one we did was 5 or 6 years ago, and it was 50 something. So, you know, whatever, it's time, it's inflation. So it's probably in scale. But it's a big number. So, I mean, at that price, I would not, I couldn't imagine deciding to choose to go forward unless there was popular support for it in the neighborhood.
And then to your point, Craig, the next step, if there was popular support, and I agree with you, I don't think there will be, but if there is, the next thing to look at would be, is can the sewer legally go forward with the project? And then you would invest money and do a benefit appraisal. So, and if that's not greater than our estimated number, that would stop it.
DOA, yeah.
Can't charge somebody more than something's worth. That's the law.
So I guess then the guidance would be for the next meeting, you'll show us the letter that you would propose to send to the neighbors or the people that would potentially benefit from a sewer extension. And we'll take a look at that letter and the people that you are proposing to send it to.
Yes. Yeah, we can do that. If you want to see it, happy to
Yeah.
show it to you. If you want to sign it, we can prepare for your signature. We've done that before too with past chairman.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's take a look at it next month, is kind of what I'm saying.
Chairman's signature.
We don't want to just go with the one that we used, the road off of 5 Mile. That was the last time I remember us polling. I can't remember the name of it, the private road way down on the end, on the right
Davis
hand
Lane.
side.
Davis Lane. Davis Lane, but that project didn't go forward.
No, I know that. I'm just saying.
But
that
yeah, there was a letter there, and the most recent project that we completed was Clocks Lane and Settlers Trail.
Did the,
I kind of agree with Bob that the commission doesn't need to see that. If you want a motion or something that Craig is authorized to sign a letter that's typical, we could move forward.
I can still do it for your signature, Craig. I can send it to you
fine with
offline.
that. Fine with that.
Okay.
So so Reese has made a motion that we send a letter to the potential beneficiaries of a sewer extension in this neighborhood and assess their interest in the project moving forward.
I'll second that.
And all those in favor say aye, aye.
Aye.
And I'll work with staff on any edits and to sign that to go out.
Thank you.
Did the homeowner provide any intelligence as to why they are so interested in a sewer connection?
I have no direct contact. I've had no direct contact, and I do not know if there's a septic issue. At that price, I was kind of surprised that they didn't seem to blink and just said, yeah, we're still interested. We have a couple questions. And I got
Any of the properties area, Darren, or any of the properties subject to a potential subdivision that might be triggering it?
I don't know. I didn't look at it with an eye towards that, but as I looked at the property layouts on the tax map, nothing jumped out at me as being large. It looks like the area is fully developed. The last sewer extension that brought it up to where we can connect now is 107 Camp. That particular property was configured in a way, and the house was of such a size that they couldn't have done what they wanted to do without the sewer, so it was worth it for them to bring it up to where it is. But going up the hill further, it looks like it's all developed to me, and I didn't see it.
Yeah, 128 is 1.5 acres in a 1 acre zone. I mean, there's a couple that are down pasture.
Any
There's
other-
a 2.9. There's, down pasture, there's a 2.95 acre, or Petticoat rather. There's a 2.9 acre. But their frontage is a little tough.
So just a quick background on some of it. My recollection is being contacted by this homeowner after one of the larger storms where her property had become inundated, where her septic was no longer functioning properly. And she asked if there, I do recall asking if there were sewers and how to go about looking into the process of extending the sewer to pick up the property. And I think that was, I remember her name. I apologize. But she was the property owner at, I believe,
Diane Boston?
That's her. Yes, that's correct. That is correct. So that's the start of the request.
There's the reason.
All right. Okay. Enough said. Item 6, superintendent's report.
Okay, just let's give you an update on the I&I study that we're doing. The smoke testing was completed September 15th. They did find some items out there that they're going to put into report and get to us. Once we get that report, we'll forward it to you folks. I'm sure it'll be some interesting reading on what was found out there. Also, the CMOM report, the draft action plan has been submitted to us. That was done on the sent to us on the 16th of September. And it is under review. I've just started taking a look at it with Tony. to see the things that we want to do to finalize that report.
So you would
We have been
prefer
a little bit
to,
busy since I received the report, so I haven't gotten to put much attention into that, but that will change soon.
so are you suggesting that you would prefer to have one round of staff edits before we see it?
For the CMOM
Mhm.
action plan?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd like to take one quick look at it first before we put it to the commission. This is our first look at it, so it'll be something that there may be things that we've done already that we'd like to take off the list and so on.
So you're going to take a look at it. You're going to get it back to Arcadis. They're going to edit it. Is it possible to get that, say, a week ahead of our next meeting so that we might be able to talk intelligently about it at our next meeting?
Well, how about one way or another, you get a copy of it? Hopefully, yes, that we'll be able to review with them and make the edits in a timely fashion, so it's before the next meeting. And I believe, what's the next meeting, November 2nd?
No, nice.
November 9th.
Question. When you're saying edit, you're going to like put a notation that it's already been completed. You're not going to delete it from the report, correct?
If it's something that, well, Bob, to be honest with you, if we've completed it and it's something as simple as we need to fix a door hinge or something like that, I'm going to delete it from the report. If it's something that needs to be done and maintained and inspected every year, I will not take it out of the report. So the CMOM is something, and you should, it's just something that you use on a yearly basis, monthly basis, of action items that you're supposed to do for your system to keep it and maintain it properly. So no, I'm not going to take anything out of there that's substantial. I want you guys what we
I'm
found and how we're
just
going about
checking
moving
because
on.
progress is it's good to show progress is all I'm trying to get to without sounding trite.
No, I completely understand. I think prioritizing the document into showing issues that are important is something that I want you folks to see. I want you to understand that we're addressing them. The last piece is the Old Kings Highway South repair estimate. I just started looking at that again today. That engineering services piece is quite substantial. And I'm going to need to revise that with Arcadis because it's expensive to have them do, but there are some things I need them to do, other things not so much. So I'm just starting to get into that document as well as the CMOM one now.
This is to reline the pipe for section of Forest Main at Old Kings Highway South. And you're saying their proposal for designing that improvement is what you have a question on?
Well, yeah. Well, I asked them to give me an estimate to do the inspection services during the. We have to camera it again. We got to camera the laterals, see how much of those we have to do. We have to actually have the manholes aligned, and they gave me an estimate to participate in that and do inspections, as well as the main itself. So it really comes down to what level of comfort we have, myself and Darren, on being out there while they do this, and how much time do we actually have to be out there. If we can't do it, should we have Arcadis doing it, and should it be full-time or should it be part-time? So that's something I have to look at right now.
Okay, so you're negotiating the inspection services contract with Arcadis.
That's correct.
Okay, but you're hoping to do that quickly because we want to do this repair quickly.
I want to get this. I want to get it complete before November 1st. That's my target date. I want to make sure we keep moving this along. I don't want to do this lining during the winter, so it'll probably be done. Hopefully, inspections and everything be ready, design ready for like an April 1st start to get out there and do this. It's going to take approximately 4 to 6 months to do this entire project out there because of the length. It's 3,500 feet of main we have to line, and manholes and laterals to go along with it.
Okay, so your goal is you've got a contractor on board starting work April 1st, and you're working backwards from that goal to start on that date.
Correct.
Okay. The other thing under A was II study, but we haven't done any further II. Other than
No,
smoke testing.
It's kind of more of a title for the other items that the
Yeah.
smoke testing part of it that we've done. But what comes with that is my reporting at the end of December to you folks, as well as our friends at Save and Sound. So that's kind of a genesis to keep me on target.
So let me just see here. Oh, here we go. For a second. Just give me a second. Calling up an old doc. Yeah, annual report. So when do we, the real thing that we want to see is the SSES.
Yes.
That's the, when we really get to find out where the problems are and what we're going to do about it.
Correct. And we're hopeful to have that by December. And this is their last small piece. There was some building inspection pieces to it too, but that comes with the smoke testing report. And they're working on that piece right now to see if there's substantial entry we have to make, or is there only a few?
So can we, now that they have completed all the field work necessary to complete that report, is that a correct statement?
Well, like I said, there's still some building entries that we may want to do because of the smoke testing. So I don't think all of the field. I'd say maybe 90%, 95%, depends on.
The smoke testing might require some follow-up before the results can be incorporated in the SSES.
Yeah. And we were trying to get something done before the end of the year with regards to the SSES report.
But it sounds like, I was going to push you to create a deadline, or, maybe said differently, you could ask when Arcadis is going to deliver the complete SSES report.
I think I asked them that about 2 months ago, and it really depended on the smoke testing and what we found. So
Okay.
they were trying to shoot. They were also trying to get us something before the end of December so that we could include it with the report to Save the Sound. But that right now, that's a tight schedule.
Yes, and it's
still report a lot of things to them. It doesn't have to be a final.
Yeah, you could say we've done all of this work to endeavor to complete the SSES, but technically the SSES is not due to them until, I've got it here actually.
Next December.
Actually next, middle of next year, within 540 days of the end of the year. No, within 540 days of the II completion.
Which we sent them that in June.
Okay.
So that's a year and a half.
So you got a year and a half from there. Okay. So
Yeah,
we're well ahead of schedule. There's no requirement necessarily to get it to Save the Sound by the end of the year. It's just our own ANSI desire to move from studying things to fixing things.
Correct.
The hope is we'll still have that in December, and maybe we can start talking about it at the January meeting.
You are correct. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Thank you for the update.
Let's talk about B, if we could. Stony Brook Pump Station. We are right in the middle of getting prices on some upgrades to that station area, if you will. We are trying to flood-proof the doors. We have a system that we've designed out there that will allow us to provide protection up to about 30 inches above the door sash. So that, right now, I think we had close to a 6 inches to a foot of water on the sandbags that were there. So this is almost 1.5 feet above what we had gotten over there as far as flood height. We're meeting with Eversource next Tuesday to talk about the relocation elevation wise of their transformer that's on the site. That was under 2 feet of water and still functioned. I don't think we're going to take that chance anymore. So we're going to meet with them to get them to elevate that.
Yeah, let me back up 1 second. So the Stony Brook Pump Station endured maybe the worst flooding in its history, but certainly the worst flooding it would have endured since the 50s. Was there any damage to the Stony Brook Pump Station during the storm?
No.
Okay, so that's good news.
Great news.
It's fantastic news. But it also, as with both flooding events, put in a little more of a stark relief how real and not theoretical these events are, and exposed or demonstrated what the potential weaknesses would be if the next worst storm came. And so you are focusing on a couple of those critical things that you could do to survive a worse storm than Ida.
That is correct.
Okay. And so right now you're looking at ways of a human control, which is to sandbag or otherwise harden entry points, and you're looking at elevating the transformer.
Yeah, so we're trying to eliminate the sandbags. Though those are nice, so we're going to do something that's a little bit more permanent and something that is easily moved in and moved out, and still allows us to enter the building if we have to through the doors, basically. So we're going to be elevating some walls around the doorways. We're pouring a concrete pad, putting like a landing with a wall that goes up, 36 inches. We'll have a flood dam door protector on the ends of it. So these are things that are not relatively expensive, but I think are something that will be permanent, in and out easy if when we need them in an emergency. The part with the transformer, it's out of our control, but has shown us that that's probably not a good spot for it.
Well, no, we wouldn't want to lose that transformer in the middle of the storm.
I not, because the water tickled the bottom of our generator, and that's not good. So that's the other piece. We're going to elevate that up another foot and a half. Yep. So those are things that I think will allow me to sleep at night and hopefully protect the pump station over there. So I think we have a good plan for that location.
So elevating the transformer and the generator, I wholeheartedly support. How high you elevate them, if you're going to be out there elevating them, if you're going to be out there with electricians and doing this work, perhaps you should look at the predicted 100-year flood level relative to the elevation that you set these things at.
Well, I think we exceeded the 100-year flood elevation on that building.
That's not correct.
Okay, then we'll take a shot of the elevation that we did measure out there, the actual water elevation.
I'd like to be in the loop on that info.
Absolutely, because I'm gonna punt to you on the tell me what elevation I should be, because this is the elevation I'm reading out there. I think that's important. But what we had taken was we were taking the marks that we had got on that building, and we were going up a foot higher, a foot and a half higher, depending on which piece of furniture we were moving.
I've shared my screen. It's a little hard to read. So your pump station is in here somewhere. Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
And the predicted Millennium Room flood elevations that are now part of the FEMA map are 15.4.
Yeah.
On the south side of the building and 17.1 on the north side of the building. And we turn that off. It's hard to look at these elevations. Here is 10, 11, 12. So you got 12 or maybe 13, you got this 12 contour here around the building and a 13 contour kind of at the building. So it's hard to know what your ground elevations really are. Somewhere between 12 and 13.
Okay.
And so 15.4 was the low one. So it's 3 feet above 12. But 17.1 was the high one. It's another couple of feet, right? So let's just, anyway, I'd like to be in the loop on that. Let's make sure we're going to do the work that we're choosing a conservative result.
Okay.
Yes, Darren.
I believe that Ed observed water passing over the post road.
Yeah, that would be 12, 13, 14. That's above 14. So the elevation of the low point in Post Road is 14 point something. So how wide was the coursing of water over the Post Road?
That I can't tell you.
Yeah.
It's
I didn't see it.
That was above 14 something. Then if it was going over the Post Road.
all right. Well, we'll get an elevation shot out there on the building, and
Yeah.
we'll set the heights of these things, and we'll can talk to you about that and make sure that we're setting it at a comfortable level for us engineers.
That sounds good.
Okay.
But
Darren,
backing up from that, that was focused on Stony Brook, but we have, what is it, 15 pump stations?
yeah, we're looking at near water. Stony Brook is the biggest one where this last storm we had the biggest problem, where it was the closest to actually not functioning because of the storm. So I'm going to focus on
let me
that.
ask the simple question. In both storm events, all pump stations performed without interruption.
Yes.
And took on no damage.
No damage. Not that I was aware of.
Okay.
I think West Avenue was the closest one that we were concerned. That one's right over by Stony Brook and Cummings Brook.
Okay, so this is a good thing. Those were big storm events, and our pump station infrastructure performed well. And I understand Stony Brook, we've highlighted weaknesses of if it was more water, it could actually do some damage and shut down the station, which would not be good. And similarly, near water, it's not a rainfall issue with near water with Weed Beach. It's a coastal surge issue. But again, these predicted coastal surges, it's nice to think about them as theory, but they're not theory, they're reality. So we're looking at that too, I assume.
Correct. We are. We're bringing Eversource down there also on Tuesday to look at elevating their transformer. We did have to put a berm around that to protect it in the last storm. And we're also looking at the enclosure where our generator is, the power sources, and then making sure that the building is watertight. Those are the two things that I'm looking at to make sure that those two large pump stations will function during any type of large rain event, into the near future, and hopefully longer. We had some others. West Avenue is my third one that's concerned. The other ones seemed to be okay during the storm. Nothing where the water was creeping, anything close to the system where I had a concern with either losing power or losing pumps or anything like that.
Where's the West Ave pump station?
Sorry?
You said West Ave. I'm curious where that West Ave pump station is.
It's basically across from the end of Bailey Avenue, diagonally across slightly towards Stanford. It's set back from the road. It services Rocketown and Kona and through there. So it's back from the road about 150 feet.
Oh, I see it. It's all subgrade. Okay, got it.
All right.
And that, so that was that culvert under the tracks that flooded that wetland behind Bailey. Also, you saying came perilously close to the pump station?
Well, I think
Closer than you'd like?
yeah, I think it had more to do with maybe the West Avenue crossing and some debris that had gotten caught in there too.
Got it. Yep.
That area just north of that bridge, Craig, is identified as a 500-year flood zone area.
Yep. So that's the pump station there.
Correct.
All right, West Ave, Bailey. This is the culvert under West Ave. So if
Correct.
that clogged, water was backing up here.
Yeah, if you turn on the flood zone, you'll see the highlight.
There it is.
So it took up, it gathered a little bit more water closer to our pump stations.
Okay, so
Pretty
that
close to the
highlighted.
pump station though, right?
Yeah,
It is.
all right. Yeah, you can see the little bit of rise in topo right here. So I
Yep.
assume you're saying that the water was probably somewhere in this area. All right, so that's another area of focus given things learned during IDA.
Correct. All right. Darren, you want to, if Craig's okay to move to the next one?
Yeah, everybody good with A and B? We ready to move on to C?
Yep.
No news is good news. Continue.
The commission asked us to get a survey map that we could file with in the Darien land records at the last meeting. You gave us a not to exceed. We did that, hired a surveyor to come up with a map. We don't have a product to show you yet. As soon as we get a product, we'll bring it to you. And we'll record it.
Thank you.
And Darren, I had one question. A neighbor asked about an update on the fence over at Brookside.
Yes. I don't know when we're going to do the fence. I know we've been working on the fences. I don't know what the neighbor's concern is. Or, thanks. But Reese apparently had a conversation with someone.
If I run into her again, I'll just say that it's on the docket, but there's no time frame.
Okay. Want me to keep going?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
Okay, the sewer bills went out. We put the letter in there for sump pumps, and we are getting questions. People are calling up and asking about it. We're explaining to them what the issues are, why we're doing what we're doing. Okay,
How many questions?
That's a good sign, isn't it?
Yeah.
yes.
How many would you say phone calls that you've received?
I didn't take the calls, but based on the front office coming back and asking Ed and I, what to say or what did they mean by this, a couple dozen, someplace between a dozen and 2 dozen. Does that sound right, Ed?
Yeah, about 12 to 15, something in that range.
Okay.
And they're just getting the bills, so that's just the start of it.
I got my bill. Do they go out at once or do they roll out?
Did you read the letter that was in the bill?
I did. No, honestly, I thought it was ultimately well done in terms of trying to catch people's attention.
Mhm.
You open the envelope, 3 things came out. Your bill was one of them. The pamphlet was another one. The letter was another one. And, 2 out of 3 of those things were pretty darn clear with what we wanted to do. So I don't know. I thought it was, we couldn't have done any better in terms of trying to get people's attention.
So now some of the questions are just wrapped around where can I put the water? Where,
Yes.
who should I talk to first? And, those type of things. So we're gonna guide those folks to the correct people and make sure that hopefully we'll get some of these things disconnected just, through this process alone.
Yeah, that would be great if you could accommodate reasonable connections if there's a storm sewer available.
Darren, I think you got the last one also.
Yes. Ready? Keep going? I don't think you want to keep going. Okay.
It's E, Darren.
The commission asked us at the last meeting to ask around what other communities are doing for, when they find a sump pump connection, do they find people? Is anybody else doing that? So Penny made a number of phone calls and did not hear back from Ridgefield, Westport, or Fairfield. So there was no, we don't know, but we did make those calls. And we heard from New Canaan, Wilton, Greenwich, Stamford, and Bridgeport, and none of those communities find people for when they find a sump pump connected. Norwalk does not have a formal program where they actively search for sump pumps, but there are provisions in their code of ordinance which do allow fines of up to $250 per day if not abated. So they can do that if they want to. They haven't, and they don't, it seems they don't seek it out, but it's there if they need it. We didn't do all of Fairfield County. It's probably, a dozen or so more if you want us to keep checking. But so far it seems like we found one that does have the ability, but does not exercise that ability or authority.
And I'm just trying to remind myself here, I'm looking at the fog regs that we adopted. And major violations, $250 for each. Minor violations, $100 for each is what we have now in our fog ordinance. Okay. I think that's helpful information for now. I guess you track down the last few towns. I don't know if there's anything actionable at this point, but it's good information to have.
Okay. And you're good. You feel like you have enough of a sense and a feel for surrounding communities, correct?
Yeah, maybe, again, you can track down the last few that didn't answer over the next month. The next step, I think, would be getting town council's opinion, but I'm sure we have the ability to do it. So it's really more of a question of when we would go there. And I think it's a little early, right? We want to start with, well, I don't know. I'll leave that. The commissioners have any feel for this on the urgency of continuing to proceed to create teeth?
If I can just quote one stat that I believe I have the right number. Last year, the sewer bills totaled for gallons used 470 million. And basically we paid to Stanford for 800 million. So is there some urgency? I believe there is. I mean, that's what, 40%?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a significant amount of water, and we didn't have events like the one we had in August and the one we had in September. So I'm kind of going to cringe at what we're going to be. Those ratios might be 50-50 in the next billing cycle.
So you think we should proceed in, I guess the next step again would be talking to town council with the idea of amending our regulations and or whatever we would have to amend to allow us the ability to find people for illicit connections.
Yeah, I think you need to do something to, promote them or push them to change those connections. I think if you just let sleeping dogs lie, it'll just keep, accumulating, and I don't think that's what we want.
What about one thought, Craig? Maybe next year when the bills go out, not an affidavit, but just a statement of fact from the homeowner back to the commission with their check. I certify that to the best of my knowledge, my sump pump is not connected to the town sewer system. Something that would be affirmative on their part. They'd have to sign. That might trigger a response. I don't know how to do it. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm just thinking outside the box.
And I would agree with you because I mentioned that either last month or the month prior.
How many bills should we send out?
Too, right?
Depends on how big it is.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
What was the number, Darren?
Oh, the
Guessing
number?
on 4,000?
Yeah.
I seem to remember the number 5,500.
Thousands. Yep. Well, whether or not having an ordinance that gives you the ability to fine doesn't mean you're going to, is going to take 6 months at least to do. And doesn't mean then that you're going to start fining. Just means you have the ability to fine, right? Like I would hope, as we have in the past, and we would in the future, our first goal is compliance. And as long as we get people to comply in a relatively reasonable time frame, we don't have to fine. It's really in those instances where perhaps it's been discovered and a property owner is resisting the compliant result that we then need, to go to the next level and have a bigger stick. So I don't see anything wrong with continuing to pursue the concept if we all still think that's a likely and needed tool.
I would agree it would be, Craig.
Susan, do you have any thoughts? I think you're on mute now. You were.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, I missed the beginning of the meeting. I'm away. And so I don't know what you all found in terms of the smoke testing, but I will watch the meeting. If you're finding people and it's illegal for them to be connected, then there must be some.
You're not in a smoke test. We don't have the results yet. We're getting that report, but they did find some things. But you're not going to find a sump pump on a smoke test because the smoke won't go back through the sump pump, right?
Yeah. Oh, so what you're saying is how do we? Okay, I don't have any thoughts right now, but I do think that we need to figure it out and stop them from.
Yeah, the basic question is, so we know we want to get people to disconnect sump pumps, and we know we're going to do everything we can to make that happen. When we do get a more fulsome SSES report, it will identify neighborhoods with large groundwater components. So we'll have areas of focus to start trying to figure out who's hooked up and who's not. That's all going to happen. But we're not specifically talking about any particular action item relative to that. We're talking about the idea that we asked someone 3 times, we found out someone had a sump pump connected, and we asked them 3 times to disconnect it, and they chose not to. What recourse do we have as the sewer commission to do anything more? And right now, it's nothing.
If it's illegal, there must be some recourse. Maybe that's a question for town council, right? Am I correct in that it's illegal?
It's not compliant with code, but I mean, there's probably 1,000 things in 1,000 buildings that aren't compliant with current code, and you're not compelled to make them compliant unless you're doing a significant remodel.
Well, we have the ability to find people who are not following the fog ordinance, so I think
that's correct.
You could just do the same thing. So,
yes,
I would say
that's
fine.
the question. Is I'm trying to find the consensus of the commission. Is the consensus of the commission to move forward investigating the ability and creating the regulations and ordinances necessary to give us the authority to fine people?
Can I ask something first?
Sure.
what if we don't call it fining? What if we call it excess charging or something where you're charging them an amount of money where it's prohibitive for them to continue operation
Well, all you would have to do is put a meter on the sump pump discharge.
at their cost?
Yeah. Yeah, well, then you have to have access to the property again, which we can't do
Yeah, I was
without.
gonna say, how
Well,
do
but
you do that?
there lies the problem.
So, we run around in circles. So the question is, we don't have to decide what the mechanism is tonight. But I guess the question is there consensus to give us a stick in the way of financial impact on people that maintain illicit connections?
I would say, yeah,
I would say yes, but also don't we need, like you said, don't we need some kind of ordinance to allow us entry?
So again, the next step is like the ordinance has to be created because it doesn't exist. And we're not going to do that with our conversation tonight, right?
No,
What
I'm just throwing things out there. I'm not trying to be difficult.
Yeah. Well, again, that's another conversation, right?
And that's a difficult conversation.
I would not enter property without property owner permission unless it was for the preservation of the immediate public health, safety, and welfare. And basically Ed has that authority already.
I would agree with you 100%, Craig.
I don't want to just go decide that we're going to go do work or install a meter. I mean, even the utility companies ask your permission before replacing it. And so I wouldn't want that to be the solution. But I agree, there could be a illicit connection surcharge. If you don't like the word fine, it's fine. We can change the
if we're
word.
paying for the water that's going through, if
Yeah.
the town, then we have to charge them back somehow.
Yes. I guess that's the question. And maybe when we set the surcharge or fine or financial impact, there's a justification in the amount based on what we're paying to manage the water.
Craig, we could put a violation on the land records that would need to be cleaned up before the house was sold. Like a wetlands
Yep.
violation.
Yeah, you could file something on the land records. That's a good tool.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if as Bob said, if it's 40 or 50% of the water in our system is clean water, then theoretically we're paying twice as much as we need to, right?
Well, a large part of that's probably I&I too, from leaky pipes outside of the homeowner.
Yeah, true.
Once we fix most of
Right,
that, the next thing is the homeowner. But I think we should move forward with at least in discussion and see where it goes. It has merit.
So we had asked staff to look into other towns that might do it because that would have given us some examples of ordinances that we could then hand over to town council and say, we think we want to do something like this. But it doesn't feel like we have that unless this version of Norwalk you want to find and circulate.
Well, we went through the same concept with fog ordinance. It's really the same thing in some ways.
It is. 100%.
So we've got a template. Maybe just ask town council if that would apply.
So we're ready to spend money on town council investigating the authority and structure of an ordinance that would permit us to fine or otherwise levy billing surcharges on properties that maintain illicit connections. Did I say that well enough?
That's
Ed,
sounded perfect to me.
Ed and Darren, are you clear?
Yeah.
And we have a consensus of the group.
And
Yeah.
to your previous discussion about charging extra, like a surcharge, Norwalk does something in reverse, which is kind of similar. They have an industrial extra strength surcharge. So if they'll actually go around, it's more related to fog but it could be industry as well. They'll go around and open up a clean out and take a sample and actually have it tested. And if it's too strong, well, then they add a fee onto your bill. I guess you guys could do the opposite if you wanted to. If somebody exceeds a certain amount of water, well, no, you couldn't. You'd have to know.
Yeah,
how
because
much
then we
water
need
they're
to
discharging.
we need to put a
that one.
meter on the outflow of their lateral, right? I mean,
Yeah, that would be a problem. Never mind.
um, all right, I think we're good on that, right? Is that it for the superintendent's report?
I have one small item to add.
Okay.
49 Stony Brook. It's a rear lot on the Stony Brook River. And access to their house has been denied by the washing away of a bridge during one of the, I believe it was Ida. And Ed asked us to keep a close eye on that. And it turns out there's a sewer easement immediately adjacent to the bridge. The engineer just redesigned the bridge upon our recommendation to keep the footings out of our sewer easement. It looks like they were able to accomplish that. We're working with planning and zoning to help them through do no harm with the downstream flooding right now, because the span is going from 15 feet to 20 feet. But the extra span is moving away from our sewer easement, and they tilted one of the wing walls to get it out of our sewer easement. So we're watching that. We believe that we're safe. Our sewer will be safe. And that's all. Just wanted to give you an update on that.
What number was that, Stony Brook? I'm sorry.
49. 49.
Okay. And then I just,
Sorry, go
if you're
ahead.
done, I just had one question that you guys haven't brought up. And that is, what's the update on the Corbin Drive cross connection?
Did you ever reach out to Baywater on that?
I'm sorry, I did not know.
Me either.
We were kind of waiting I was kind of hoping to have the smoke test report come back, because to be honest with you, I looking at the civil plans and the sewer itself, I can't for the life of me figure out how they made the connection yet. So getting that report back, I wanted to completely identify which basin it was coming out of. When the
So
smoke.
you have that draft report now, correct?
Excuse me?
You have the draft report now, correct?
I do not have it yet, no.
Oh, you do not have it yet. Any follow-up, Bob? You good?
We'll follow up on that.
No, I'm good. I was just just asking the question.
Another small point.
Mhm.
Throw it out there. Insurance. There's apparently an insurance instrument that's coming down the pike that might be of interest to the Sewer Commission. It sounds a little bit like gambling. It's based on the event rather than actual damage. So you can insure up to a certain rainfall amount. And I know that we are self-insured up to a certain amount, and then Kermit takes over. But if something like that happens, can the Sewer Commission engage in insurance activities on their own? The answer is, I don't know. But I'm told that there's an instrument like that coming in the future. Their insurance companies are going to develop things like that if the Sewer Commission is
And
interested.
Basically, Darren, they could customize it to anything we want, based on the modeling they're doing in an AI type format. Craig, I'm gonna introduce you to these people. It's pretty wild. So we could literally say, if the base flood elevation reached 13, we would get $1 million, and here's the cost of the policy. No damage doesn't matter. It's just the triggering event would be 8 inches of rain in 12 hours, or whatever. We could set a parameter. So my thought is like, how do we protect against the 1938 hurricane hitting here and wiping out from a coastal? That would be the worst case for us. So maybe they could tailor something as this progresses that would cover us in that event beyond what the town's insurance is.
That's not now, that's the future, right?
Yeah, no, that's something they'd have in 9 months, I think, based on what this guy was saying they're developing. But again, I just wanted to plant the seed, and I called Darren earlier today of what something we might want to consider, because we've got, several $1 million minus in our capital account. And what would our damage be if 1938 hit Lower Fairfield County? It would be incredible. What then? And maybe that's something we could look for insurance for.
Okay.
I have nothing.
That it for the superintendent's report?
That is it.
Any new business? Hearing none, who wants to stand in for Peter? Or are we just going to sit here?
I'll do it. I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
All right. Susan is going to second in a moment.
I will second it.
All those in favor say I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
I'm good. I'm in favor.
You can stop recording, Darren. We're adjourned at 5:39.
5:39.